Project Vulcan. Let logic prevail. I know it's a tall order, but we must try. We are all pretty much aware of how much shouting there is everywhere we go, especially after COVID, when we stopped meeting in person and doing things like whiteboarding and going out to lunch and talking things over. Instead, we started spending a lot of time on social media, often in bubbles generated by the platform algorithms. As a result, emotions roll, with logic being demoted to irrelevancy. This is a recipe for disaster, and one of probably biblical proportions. Thus, today, there are many manipulators who take advantage of this situation. Most are just trying to be heard or feel useful, and probably believe in what they are saying. Much of what they say might be true, but is not the full picture. And others are movements, like, for example, the Palestinians versus the Israelis, and yet others are highly organized nation states, like, for example, China, Russia, and North Korea, using information warfare. We are in a cyber war right now, and we don't know or understand the enemy, their motivation, and their resources. The situation is somewhere between a cultural virus and an outright world war by certain nation states. So many of us are being manipulated with emotions. Who would blame us for our behavior, as we just want to be heard in the cacophony of noise when we want to talk about what we believe is right? I find it interesting that 10 to 20% of the human genome is dedicated to fighting off infections and parasites, something that we evolved with over billions of years. And we need the same in social networking. Our defenses must evolve. Just like nuclear energy or fire, powerful technologies can be used for both good and evil. Social media is obviously part of the problem, as many platforms put profit and power above all else, negatively impacting our world today, and more importantly, our culture and well-being into the not-too-distant future. But hopefully, social networks are also part of the solution. Each social network has a purpose in the ecosystem. Some, on the left, are more oriented towards unstructured free speech, which has the downside of chaos and the potential for mass manipulation by unscrupulous people and entities. On the right, the networks would be more oriented towards a more logical structure in order to reduce the impact of manipulation and the improvement of logic. We need both sides of this spectrum. Although it would be nice to focus on the right, it is subject to the possibility of manipulation of its own kind, bias, and not enough freedom to consider new ideas. Thus, we also need the tools on the left, because the population likes and needs a mechanism that is more open. Hopefully, a balance between the two can be maintained so chaos doesn't drive everything. At the very minimum, certain use cases can be applied using the tools on the right.